Hello, my name is Nick, and today I will be commentating over a speedrun of the new All Debts route that was found 7 or 8 months ago. This run got 37:43, and it was my first run since I PB'd 7 months ago. So it was mostly a D-Rust, and this just shows how the new route is really good and can get you easy sub 40s. So here we go.
Nintendo.
I'm just gonna commentate over important stuff. This is going to be the more accelerated route where I just play the run and then commentate over it. There's another beginner route where I am playing along while talking, and that one goes slower, but this is just a full run that I'm commentating over. So at the beginning here, you mainly just text mash. That's a majority of this run, is text mashing. And then here's Rover. So you just mash through this part as quickly as possible. I press both the A and B button at the same time, and normally A will take priority if you mash them both at the same time. For all these text boxes here, you want to give the first answer. The second one is, it doesn't really lose any time, but it's faster to press the first one. So here, when you enter your name and town name, you have to have them as exclamation mark because, well, that's what the cursor defaults to, so it's fastest anyway. And then on top of that, you also, for the codes that we use, your name has to be like that. This next text box coming up here is interesting because it's the only one in this run where it's not like locked. Like you see how normally the text scrolls across like this? For all these text boxes, it doesn't. It just pops up immediately. So what I do for that is I put one finger on the A button and then my other finger on the B button, and I just rock the controller really fast, and it mashes through that part really quickly. So I don't want to get into too many specifics here, but for this, for the train segment here, you typically want to have 2 minutes or less when your character hits the floor here. So for a typical like good run, if that when he hits the floor right there is 2 minutes or less, then you did good at mashing in the beginning. I know some people can get like 1:58. I normally get 2 minutes exactly, sometimes 1:59. I wouldn't say it's anything to reset over, but it still is. It's a good idea to try and make sure that you can consistently get 2 minutes train or less. When you select your house here, you can use anyone. However, for the setup that, well, not the setup, but for the trick, not trick, it's easier to align the setup if you go into this left house here. You can do it with the right house, but most people find it easier to use the left house, and I'll explain why when we start the setup. But there's like specific frames that you can look for when you use the left house. So Tom Nook just talks here for about 40 seconds, and then you pay your first 1,000 bells, and he says that's not enough. He laughs at you, and you get so angered that he laughs at you that you pay off the rest of his pity debt in half an hour. So here we go, giving Nook the bells. Now this is where your first major reset is gonna come in. He's gonna say, oh, you don't have enough money, you can work for me. If you don't have A2 or A4 right here, just reset. It's not worth it to go on if you don't have A2 or A4. So hopefully Nooks is in A2 or A4, and you're gonna check this map here. I only check it for a very brief period of time because we use this program called TownCap that I think is still available to download. If not, I will link it. But you, It's just like print screen pretty much. You press a button on your keyboard and it takes a picture of a region that you specify. So right now I'm just looking at the map on my desktop while playing on the GameCube. And then you see here I messed up, but that's alright. So you can just quickly look back and forth. You don't have to memorize the map or take a picture on your cell phone. That's what we used to do, and that took forever. So it's really nice to just have this program. The other thing that I didn't mention is the post office should be in A2 or A4, whatever Nooks isn't in. The post office, you want them to be A2, A4 because they're the closest to each other, and like most of this run after intros is just running between the two. So you want them in A2 and A4. If you don't get that, it's probably just worth it to reset, unless you're not going for a super optimal time. But even then, still, it's such easy time save that there's no reason not to. So when you're talking to everyone here, make sure you talk to the mayor. I kind of glanced over that. That's a big beginning mistake, is people will forget to talk to the mayor, because it's like different from the houses. Make sure you talk to the mayor and all 6 villagers. The other thing is you want to go in the direction opposite. This is kind of hard to explain. Opposite of where Nook's Cranny is. So for instance, I had Nook's Cranny in A4, so I went counterclockwise. This is so that when I end with going to Nook's Cranny in the top. So you go counterclockwise talking to all your villagers. And if Nooks is in A2, then you want to go clockwise so that you can end right up here. That is kind of difficult to explain, but if you think about it a little bit, it'll make sense. So that's really easy. If you hit L when your cursor's over the shirt, you'll pick it up. You don't have to hit A and then go to grab. You can hit L, up, A, B, and it's really fast. And here Nook gives you your first chore, planting flowers. This is really simple. You plant them wherever. It doesn't matter. He doesn't actually care if you beautify the town or not. There I made a little mistake. I pressed A and it didn't register. However, it doesn't matter what order you plant these in. You're going to all of them anyway. There's no faster way to plant than the others. That was another just stupid mistake. And you just place them all around. It really doesn't matter, and go back in. That should take you about 50 seconds. 53. I think is what this run got. Or not 50 seconds, like, never mind. So, now you deliver your furniture. This is important. You want to get the villagers closest to Nooks. There's no real way that you can or not. At this point, I've been resetting for 30 minutes to get A2, A4, so I just kind of took whatever. That's why this run definitely could have been better, but I took what I could get. So when you're delivering to villagers, this is really straightforward and simple. You talk to them, delivery, and then you just spam A. And then from here, I just start spamming B, because if you spam A, you could accidentally talk to them again after they're done. Oh, when they give you this item here, if it is a table or like a chest or something that you can like put items in, that is really good because then you don't have to enter a code for it. Yeah, if you get a table, there's a list of 2x1 tables on this picture I have here that I'll reference the picture more. It's like a miniature route. So I'll start talking about that once we get more into the all deaths section. This is still just chores or like the tutorial of the game. But if you get one of the 2x1 tables, then you don't have to enter the code for it. And if you get a tape deck, you don't have to order it. Those really fast. Alright, so this part, you write a letter. He'll tell you who it's to. And this is really straightforward. And the game doesn't actually check if you write anything. So we just hit a blank letter. What I do there, as soon as I select the person's name, I just spam start. That'll get you through the next 3 text boxes. And then you run over here. So I don't want to go into too much specifics. However, I did get the worst post office for A2, which really loses maybe like 2 seconds total. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but This would have been the best post office for A4, but it's whatever. I don't want to go too in depth with like super specific details like that. So you deliver the letter, come back, talk to Nook, and then this next chore is the blank chore. This one is really good if you have a villager right under Nook's, because even if you don't get him for a chore, you can still talk to him for this. For this one, you want to go to whatever villager is closest to you. So count the number of acres that it takes to get from Nook's to each villager, and go to whichever one is closest. You don't have to do their quest, you can say no, and as long as you ask them for it, the game will count that. And then you just go right back into Nook's and he'll have the next thing ready for you. The best situation is they'll say that they don't have anything for you because that's a really short text box. And here I got lucky and I got my best villager for the carpet. What can be annoying is if you have certain personality types and they have a quest for you and you say no, then they'll become upset. To counteract this, go in the acre and then go out of it and then back in. You can just flip through the acre twice and they won't be in a bad mood anymore. But some villager types like Hornsby here, he's lazy. I said no and he wasn't like upset by that. So sometimes you can get lucky like that. After you get the rug, what you're gonna want to do is, well, I'll say when I show it. Drop the furniture and rug item because you don't need them anymore. Keep the shirt though. You don't have to keep the shirt, but it's a little bit faster if you do for the setup because you need 2 shirts for it. So make sure that you keep the shirt. And next you're gonna get an axe delivery. This axe delivery will always be to the villager that you wrote the letter to, so that the game can show you like that the villagers hold on to your letters. So you can also tell there if you get a villager that's far away for the letter writing, then you're gonna have to run far away for the axe delivery. So here I'm just going to deliver the axe and then just spam out of the text box. So one thing I would say is if you haven't done an all debts run yet, do one with the 3 metal setup first. This is showcasing the 5 metal setup. I should have said this a bit earlier. But do one with the 3 metal setup just so that you get a feel for the run, because this one is difficult. And I'm going to be showing some more difficult strats here. And you'll get a big PB once you switch to this route because it just saves so much time by being a faster route, but it is definitely more difficult. So I would say do some with the 3 metal setup first before you do this. There's a guide written by Forstride on that, and I believe that there's a video by Glad Jonas somewhere, although I'm not 100% sure about that. So after you deliver the axe, he's going to tell you to write on the bulletin board, write an ad for him. Once again, the game doesn't check to see if you actually wrote shop at Nook's. So what I do is once again I hit A to write and then I just start spamming start and it'll get you out of the rest of that. And then that's chores. That's the first part of this game. Definitely aim for sub 1430 chores, but sub 14 is preferable. And then once you're done with chores, you get onto the fun part of the run. So I believe this chores was 1355, something like that. So barely sub 14. But it was still good enough. I typically split for the chores right there when he pumps his fist in the air. Although split timing doesn't really matter as long as you're correct for the beginning and end. So here you're going to go down to other things say code. Alright, this is where it gets kind of intense. I'm using this strategy called keyboard switching. What keyboard switching does is it makes it so you never have to go to the right side of the keyboard. You'll always be in the left, and you can enter codes super fast here. This is very advanced and very hard to keep track of and do. But if you're just starting off, then just stick to the QWERTY keyboard and enter in the code. You really want to have the codes memorized and get it to muscle memory. So make sure that you practice entering the codes a lot. That'll help. So you enter in the code for the 30,000 bells. And then you're going to pay off your first debt just immediately with this new route. So you go down to deposit and then just start holding up on the controller. You'll deposit the max amount immediately. And then you pay off all your debt and run outside. And once again, I split when my villager's fist goes in the air. There. And yeah, so you just start running back. Oh, this also cancels the music. So the reason that this is so fast is because this code, for some reason, it cancels the music. And it makes load times faster because it doesn't have to load in the music. Every time you go into Nooks after you upgrade, make sure that you always say yes to expanding. He gives you two options, and if you accidentally hit B, then he gives a longer text box. So you come back here, you're going to order from catalog, get a tape deck. You just need one tape deck. We used to get two. This one you only need one because you're going to duplicate the tape deck on itself. And then you go enter more codes. The first code that I'm going to enter here is for the table. This one's really easy. Because you can just hit like right A, right A, right A, right A, and just really fast enter that. I believe I entered that one in like 10 seconds, maybe like 11. And then you enter in the code for the autumn medal. This one, I don't use keyboard switching for most of it. This one's really easy to remember though, because you can like phonetically say it. So there's me doing keyboard switching. I only do it on that part because it's in a little circle, so it's really fast. I entered this code kind of slowly. That took maybe like 20 seconds. So you can say Hort of Tendendi, Sort of Tendeni G. So it's really easy to remember that one, whereas you can't say the 30,000 bell bag code. So what I do is I actually have the code written on a postcard here that I have right next to my monitor, so that if I ever need to glance at it, I can just quickly like look at it and look back at the screen. I wouldn't recommend having it on another monitor because then you have to look across to the other monitor. So I physically write it out. Something different in this route that is very important is don't reset when you save and quit. This is because if you reset, then you'll lose the no music. Here, before I go, and then down to A, and always switch the month back one, because that's the first thing that you can do, and it's really fast. So you go back a month, and that'll still upgrade your house without upgrading Nook's Cranny. The reason that you don't upgrade Nook's Cranny is because at some point it'll upgrade, and then you have the sliding door, and the sliding door will take time. So you open your mail here, and this is where we start doing the setup. So it's very important that for this shirt, you're going to want to drop your, a template, because you're going to pick this one up again, and you don't want to take inventory room. So you start off with this setup. I'm going to be attaching a guide by Cold Eggman that explains this better. As you can see, I messed this up a few times. You want to align it where the top of your menu is with that triangle right there. If you look at the top of my menu, it's aligned with a triangle. Once again, Cold Eggman's guide explains that way better. So you drop your tape deck. Here's a tech for the menuing. You go up, right, L, B, and then so you close your menu and you go back in. That's faster than moving through the menu normally. Once again, that's kind of a more advanced tech. And this is where it gets really complicated. So if you haven't done an all deads route with a third, with a 3 metal setup yet, then do that before you do this. Because this is harder. So you definitely need to do this. Do a 3 metal setup before this one. So I don't really know what to say during this because I believe that Cold Eggman explains it better, and I'd rather have you watch his video, which will be attached in this guide. But pretty much the easiest trick to save time here is memorize where stuff is in your inventory, because that way you don't have to like check what each item is and wait for the thing to show up. That wastes some time. Instead of, okay, this part is hard. This part you have to do a hard right so that the table places in a certain way. It's kind of confusing, but you just practice this a lot because it'll make more sense as you go on. And you enter here again. This one's also weird. You have to go like down, left, down, kind of. I messed it up here, as you can see. And then I also forgot to get the medal there. So even with these mistakes, which are pretty major, it might not seem like it, like, oh, he just forgot to get one medal, but it's pretty major for this route that is so fast. And I still got, I believe this was 8th place on the leaderboards. So then you pick up those two. And then this is easy. It's just a simple down. And see, I forgot what was in my inventory there, so I lost time. This was weird. I've never seen the table placed like this before. So I messed up again, and I had to fix it. I have to drop the tape deck to make this like pushable. And then I have to drop the tape deck again. Pull this one, go out and around, pull everything together. It was like really... This was a pretty sloppy setup, so definitely watch Cold Eggman's guide on it. Okay, so now is you go in here and you just collect a bunch of medals and sell them. And then this is where the rest of the run comes from. It's just selling medals. You're past the hard part now, pretty much. There is one hard part left that's really not hard, but it is a run killer. So I'm gonna go back to talking about the PNG now. I got cut off because I really wanted to explain this setup. The setup should take you about 3 minutes, not 3 minutes. It should take you maybe 2.5. I think this took me 3 minutes. And it should be about 2.5, hopefully. Maybe a little less, I'm not entirely sure. But, so this PNG, I will attach it because it currently has an error on it. It has one of the wrong codes. But I will fix that and re-upload it for you guys. I print it out because, once again, it's easier for me to just look at this paper here than it is to look at my screen. Maybe for you it will be easier to just have it up on your monitor, but I have a lot of things up on my monitor when I'm doing runs. I have TownCap, OBS, typically Twitch chat. So it's just way easier for me to look at a physically printed guide. And it outlines it well. It's a nice graphical guide. So right there, you want to go in and you say Nook's second option. You always say the second option, or else he'll talk for longer if you say any of the other ones. So, and then you have to re-enter so that you'll be allowed to pay for your next debt. And you can just mash through this. He'll say you have 15, and you can say all, which is nice. I don't know why they don't have that in new Animal Crossing games, but that's how that works. So yeah, the PNG is just nice to have, and it's easier for me, so I'd recommend printing it out. So here, you drop 2 money bags. I don't know why I skirted there, but yeah. So you drop the 2 money bags, you come inside, and then you deposit, you pay off this entire debt. And always make sure that you talk to Nook after. Another really beginner mistake is forgetting to talk to Nook, and then you just waste a lot of time. Alright, so this is where I was talking. This is the next hardest part. Arguably the hardest part of the run. You have to upgrade your basement here. Now this is very hard because most of the time you'll be like in the PB adrenaline rush, and you'll be like, oh shoot, this run's zooming. And then he pops up with that and he's like, which one do you want? And the first choice is to expand your room, and that messes up the route. You really want to make sure that you say basement there. Make sure that you say you expand your basement. That is actually a run killer. And no, it's not the hardest part of the run, but it is actually a run killer that's really easy to mess up on. So always expand your basement after the second debt. And another little minute thing here is when you're talking to the gyroid, talk to him as close to the door as possible. And it's not really a problem for A4 Nooks because you'll be coming in from the right anyway, so you'll be on the side of the door. But if you talk to him, if you have A2 Nooks, and you talk to him from like the left, your character walks to the door and that wastes time. So always talk to him really close to the door. And you're gonna go set the time back a month. And then say you're playing. And this next one's really easy. Debt number 3 and 4 are really fast because you're pretty much setting up for them like as you're going, because you get so much money that you'll have enough to like pay off both of them. Once you get the basement, go downstairs and then come back up. It's way faster. You can see I was down in the basement for a second. I just hold right, and you just keep holding right until you come back up. If you run down the basement stairs, hold right, and you still hold right, you'll enter the loading zone immediately. So the best thing about this is you only have to do this 3 times now. See, I just 3 times and then I'm done. That's 15 medals. It's really nice. So you're gonna go sell these 15 medals. Nook will talk to you for a little bit, but then you just say you're gonna sell the medals. So you sell all the medals again, and then you go and pay off the 3rd debt. This one's really easy. Make sure you drop all the money bags again. This is for inventory space and for later on. I didn't drop the money bags. Oh, you drop them after you pay off the debt. It's really important that you drop them off, even though I just messed up at saying this, in the right order, because it can mess with the inventory management later on. Like, you might not have the right amount of bells. It's hard to explain, but you make sure that you drop these off in the correct order. Alright, after this part, you're going to want to drop all the money bags again. Make sure that you drop them all. Make sure that you count all 5 dropping. I thought that I only counted 4 dropping. So you're going to see that I take another pause eventually. So you just upgrade the house again. And then I come up and right here, I take another pause. And this, I messed up here. You don't talk to this gyroid again. You're gonna want to pick up 15 more medals before you sell. Or before you save and quit. And then this way, just when you do the 4th date, you really quickly just run to Nooks, sell, and then you're done with it. I don't really know why we do this. This has just always been in the route. But there's really no reason why you couldn't just pick them up after you save and quit. But this is just always what we've done, so that's what I did here as well. And it's way faster now since we have the 5 medal set up, so you only take 3 house trips. And you talk to the gyroid again, and save and quit. Another thing I should mention, I should have mentioned this a long time ago. When you save and quit, don't reset. Because if you reset, then you'll lose the no music, and then your loading times will take a while again. So that's why for this run, and like this run only, we don't reset after we save and quit. So you go back to July. It's really awkward when I don't talk because there's no music. It makes me want to talk more, but I really have nothing to say. Yeah, it's just so quiet. Alright, so now you can immediately just run to Nooks. I really don't know if it's faster or not or why, but whatever. So after you sell here, you're gonna pick up all the money bags except for one of them. And the reason that you do this is because we're gonna need the last money bag on the floor for the final debt, like the very final debt, so we leave it there for a little while. But you're just gonna want to make sure that you pick up 6 of the 7 money bags that are on the floor. So see, I leave that one there. You pay it all off, and that's debt number 4. So after this, you're just gonna go back, talk to Nook, and start debt 5. If you don't choose orange for your final house upgrade, you're not cool. It's the same thing, rinse and repeat. You just run all the way back. Save and quit. The first part of this next debt, of the final debt, is really important. I'll explain why when we get there. So when you first start, you only pick up 14 medals. This is really important because, like I said before, it has to deal with how many money bags you get and how the money works in the inventory. So it's better if you only pick up 14. Now, we used to do this thing where you'd go upstairs then downstairs in a zigzag pattern. And I don't really think that applies anymore. I think it's just faster to go one way or the other now. See, I kept on going upstairs, but I think it would have been faster for me to just run downstairs. And you don't readjust this at all. You just keep this here how it is. So only pick up 14 and then you go sell. So this final debt is the longest, and it actually takes 2 trips of depositing bells into the post office. So after you sell the first batch of medals, you're gonna drop all of them on the floor. Like that. And then you go and you pick up 15 this time. Remember, the first time you only pick up 14 so that you don't mess up the money. And the second time you pick up 15. So you sell these 15 medals, and then you pick up the bell bags that we dropped before outside of the post office. So you make your first initial deposit here. And you just deposit everything. And we pick up another 15, and we're going to sell these 15. And then we still have one more trip after that. So you sell these 15 medals, and then you go back and pick up 10 more. And that's your last selling trip, is the last 10. And you'll see when we get to the last 10 how much faster this is, because if you had to do 10 with only 3 medals, you would have to take 4 trips. But since we have the 5 medals set up, we only have to take 2 trips. Or not trips to Nooks, but like loading in the house. If you only had 3 medals, you have to do this 4 times, because you can get 9 and then you have 1 of the last 3 on your 4th time duplicating. But for this, we only take 2 trips and we're already done. So that saves so much time. And you sell these last medals here. And there's another error on the route that I might fix. It says sell 15 medals. It should say sell 10. I will fix that. So you sell those, and then you pick up the 1 money bag we dropped earlier, and then you pay that off. You just hold up, pay it all off, and you see how close you come. You only have 4,000 bells left over after this. And then that's it. All debts. And that's time. When your fist goes up in the air, that's when you time. And there I show the timer, because I was timing this. I just didn't put it on the screen. That's 37:43. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope that this helped. There's another beginner guide, like I said earlier, that you can watch where I will explain as I go along, so that might be easier to follow along with. But yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me on Discord or anyone else in the Animal Crossing Speedrun Discord. Thank you, and good luck on your runs.